Welcome to Pensare Basketball Live. That was my first game attended this year, and I don't think I'm going again. That was bad. The Toronto Raptors get mollywopped. That's the word. That's the term. Mollywopped. The Toronto Raptors get smacked. The Toronto Raptors got so badly beat. Oh my God. The last time I saw a beating this bad, it was when our freshman team faced the senior team in a scrimmage, and I had my jumper blocked for the first time in my life, and it went all the way to the rafters. I got pinned to the backboard. That's what this felt like. All right. This was tough. Now, the Toronto Raptors rode all the momentum in the world into this game. They had won 3 out of 4. They were winners of 2 straight. And what did we say in the last live? When AG called in, I remember, trust me, I remember that conversation. I've thought about it a couple times. And he said, I'm off the team tank. And I said, who have you actually beat? Who have you actually beat? And it was a whole bunch of teams that were under 500. The Toronto Raptors have not beat a single team that is currently above 500. And today, you faced a team that was arguably missing their second best player. And I do want to put that into context because at some point this season, Chet Holmgren will come back. And please believe me that whatever happened to you today could be so much worse if Chet was playing. AG saying, I don't know how to feel. Maybe Tank is back on. Look, you find out who you are against these teams. I'm going to start out with a stat that is going to probably blow your mind, but a stat that I've been thinking about all day and a stat that I shared on X. Last year, the Toronto Raptors played 30 active roster members. 30 players suited up for the Toronto Raptors. It was largely due to injuries, trades, all that stuff. Of the 30 players that suited up for the Toronto Raptors, how many of those players, please let me know. I said 30. How many of those players do you believe are currently in the NBA with anything above a minimum or a two-way contract? Please let me know. How many players that played for the Toronto Raptors last year are either in the league? Sorry. How many players are in the league and have a contract better than a two-way contract or a minimum contract? 12. Nope. Correct. 13, which means 17 of the 30 players who played for the Toronto Raptors last year are either out of the league or are on two-way contracts or are medically retired. This includes guys like Jamias Ramsey and Malik Williams. This includes guys like Jonte Porter. This includes guys like Jalen McDaniels, Malachi Flynn, Gary Trent Jr., Thaddeus Young, Otto Porter. The list goes on and on and on. Imagine that. Now, Scotty Barnes made an all-star team with largely G League players on his team. He played a lot of rotation minutes with guys like Malachi Flynn. And, a lot of people get angry when I say that certain guys' NBA futures are on the line, specifically Davion Mitchell. But tonight, you see the gap. The Oklahoma City Thunder were my preseason pick to win the championship. I believe this is the best team in basketball. They are incredible. Please stop. Jalen Williams is a really good player. There's a really, today on the panel, we had a long discussion about the best players, 25 under 25. I obviously did my Raptor bit, having Scotty Barnes at number 2. We ended up getting Scotty selected at number 7. There's a lot of Thunder players. Chet, who didn't play tonight, who won't play for a little while, but will inevitably come back and is a huge part of their defense and what they do. Cason Wallace didn't make that list. And I was a little upset about that because he is amazing. Cason Wallace is a really good player. Cason Wallace would be a starter for the Toronto Raptors, 100%. I went to the game with my friend Adam. Shout outs to Adam. And at one point, I told him the third guy off their bench might be our third best player, and that was Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso is a really good player. Cason Wallace is a really good player. Isaiah Joe is a really good player. You start to go down that list, and you really get about 10 deep before you run out of players that would start or play major rotation minutes for teams. And then, of course, you talk about the top of that roster. Guys like Jalen Williams and Shai Gilgeous Alexander are frankly on another level right now. than guys like RJ Barrett, Grady Dick. Grady was back tonight. Jakob Poeltl was out. Bruno Fernando gets a start in his place. Jonathan Mobo ironically starts the second half. Little stated fact, and I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it too much. Granted, I didn't listen to the broadcast because I was at the game, but J-Mo had a career high tonight, 17 points for Jonathan Mobo. This was not a fun game to watch. If you were one of the sparsely located fans, this was not a fun game to watch. There were a lot of empty seats tonight. That was very interesting. I've been to, I want to say, about 40 Raptor games in my life. This might have been one of the emptiest ones I've ever seen in my life. And that's weird because, you had a couple hometown legends coming back home. Lou Dort, Shai Gilgeous Alexander. Shai is probably, if not definitely, the best Canadian player of all time. No disrespect to Steve Nash. Shai is just a little bit better. And tonight he put on a bit of a masterclass. I thought Scotty struggled. The Toronto Raptors did lead in this game, 3-0, on a contested three by Scotty Barnes. And then it was, I started counting, I think it was about 9 minutes in real time that the Raptors went scoreless as the OKC Thunder piled up their first lead. Take a look at something that probably gives you a better glimpse into what this game really felt like. Here's the win probability of this game. On that Scotty three, I mean, we were at about 80%. Scotty hits a three. It was 76%. That's about as good as it ever got for the Raptors. 76%. I believe they were 13 or 14 point underdogs coming into this game. And then it just pretty much was at 98 to 99%. I mean, they kept it at 99.9% to be funny, as if the Raptors are going to come back from a 30-point deficit in a minute. But this game was over before it started. And were you expecting anything different? You didn't expect the Raptors to win, but you needed the Raptors to compete. And tonight, I don't feel that the Raptors competed. Everything was absolutely slow for the Raptors. First of all, big super chat, big super chat here. Merry fourth quarter gang Christmas from Gregory. Thank you so much, man. That's a very generous super chat from you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you and all the stuff you do around this community as one of our moderators. Thank you so much. Liberal saying, I hope you enjoyed the game, Penn. I did not. I did not enjoy this game. It was not fun. But I must say, I've been a huge advocate for Jonathan Mobo, and it's ironic. Let me just take this off for a second, because I mean, let's talk about this game, and then we'll talk about the broader strokes. Because that's that. And if you'd like to call in, you want to talk, you want to vent, please by all means call in. It's perfectly cool. Tonight, Jalen Williams, J-Dub, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Isaiah Hartenstein, 2 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists. Ihart is one of my favorite centers in the league. I really like him. He didn't need to do very much tonight. He took 3 shots, 28 minutes. It was good. Shai was cold from 3. He missed a lot of threes. Some makeable, some wide open. But, credit to the Raptors. He pretty much made everything inside the arc, though. 30 points for Shai Gilgeous Alexander on 22 shots, and he went 1 for 10 from 3. Imagine if he'd gone 6 for 10 from 3. Oh, that's bad. Isaiah Joe had 16 and some of the easiest 16 points of his life. The Raptors lost him constantly. He got open constantly. Lou Dort did not have a great game. Shot 0 for 6 from 3. Not the greatest 3-point shooter, but 6 points from him. But off the bench, they got AJ Mitchell with 13, Aaron Wiggins with 12, Kenrich Williams with 13. Kenrich Williams goes 3 for 3 from 3. And again, man, the Toronto Raptors just got abysmal bench performances from some of their key rotation guys. Jamison Battle was good. I think overall 13 minutes, 6 points for him. But Davion Mitchell, Jamal Shed combined 0 for 9. 0 for 9. All of their shots from behind the arc. All of them. 0 for 9 from 3, 0 for 9 from the field. 0 points. -14, -14, and a combined 36 minutes. Holy shit. Okay? Bad. Jacoby Walter comes off the bench. He was one of the first 3 guys off the bench. It was initially him, J-Mo, and then I was telling my friend, oh, it's about to change. It's about to get better for the Raptors. Jonathan Mobo was going to come in for Bruno Fernando and change this game around. And then, of course, you see Davion Mitchell get up. And I was like, never mind. Never mind. It's not going to get better. Credit to Davion Mitchell, though, for sure. Like there's going to be some clips of him. We'll look at it, some of the clips from the game. He's a really hard worker. He's a guy who really tries hard, and he really tried to body up Shai Gilgeous Alexander. He was really trying to use all his fouls, 5 fouls tonight. I thought Grady played well. I thought Chris Boucher had a disaster class of game. Oh my God. Oh my God. He was so goddamn bad this game. And this follows up one of the worst games of his life in the previous game. So Chris Boucher is really like, I mean, you're going to see 10.6 rebounds. You're going to be like, wow, Chris Boucher was really productive. Chris Boucher was awful. Chris Boucher finished terribly, defended terribly, made bad decisions constantly. He was just bad. There's no other way to put it. Jonathan Mobile was probably the Raptors' best player. I mean, I think he scored 3 late, which I caught on video. I was very happy about that. It happened right in front of us. I was really proud of him for hitting that 3. He's been hitting threes a lot more. He had 17 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. I thought he had an offensive rebound, though. I could have sworn he had an offensive rebound, but maybe he got tipped away. But yeah, 1 rebound is weird for Jonathan Mobile. The Toronto Raptors, when they beat the Indiana Pacers, they just out-athleticed them. That's not a word, but I'm going to invent the word out-athleticed. They were just more athletic than the Pacers. RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes. Tonight, the Toronto Raptors got a dose of their own medicine where basically everything just felt suffocating. Suffocating. The Toronto Raptors already play 4-on-5 very often. One of the points that I brought up in the panel is that Scotty Barnes plays with negative spacing. He himself is not the greatest shooter, so that in itself creates some spacing issues. But the fact that he plays so many minutes with guys like Jonathan Mobile, Jakob Poeltl, Bruno Fernando, Jamal Shed, Davion Mitchell, etc., it just means that teams don't have to guard. When you have Grady, Ochai, Jamison Battle, suddenly the spacing opens up a little bit. But the Thunder are equipped to deal with that. The Thunder were happy to swarm Scotty. He was happy to settle for jumpers pretty much all night. I do think he settled a lot. I'm not sure I blame him completely. He made some good reads. He made some good passes. I think he had a lot of turnovers. If I recall correctly, he had a ton of turnovers tonight. He had 4 turnovers. It felt like more. In real time, it felt like more. RJ Barrett had a horrible game. 17 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists does not tell the story of just, some of the terrible decision making that he made. But you don't blame him. You don't blame RJ, right? Because again, there's like athletic limits to what you can do. When you're going up against Lou Dort, that's a dude who's designed to shut you down. And this was never going to be RJ's game. Okay. Like, let's run some numbers. What numbers? Rookie of the year for Mobo? I mean, he's been about as good as any other rookie not named Jared McCain. I mean, you could certainly put him in the conversation. He's been relatively positive throughout. I think he's been very good. Of course, the Jakob Poeltl part of this equation. You start, every game that we have lost this year, just take a look quickly at the team stats. Trust me, it's not pretty. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. It's going to be bad. Don't worry, I'll describe it for you. The Raptors shot 35% from field and 24.4% from 3. Oh boy. And they missed a lot of open ones. 11 for 45. So it wasn't for a lack of trying. They tried to gun their way into this game. They got to the line more than the Thunder, 17 for 20. But, they get out rebounded. They lose the offensive rebound battle. They only forced 6 turnovers relative to the 19 turnovers that they themselves got. Everything just felt congested for Toronto, right? Everything felt congested. I mean, every pass they made, it felt like there was a hand on it. Tipped, steal. Again, 4 of the best perimeter defenders in the league play for the OKC Thunder. Jalen Williams is a really good defender. Shai's all right. He's not great, but he's all right. He competes. He's long. He's got a good wingspan. He participates. Isaiah Hartenstein's a very good defender. But Cason Wallace is really special as a defender. Lou Dort is a special defender. Alex Caruso might be, he might be 8th guy for them. But for my money, he's about the best 3-and-D wing defender in the league. You put all those guys together, add in a great coach, Mark Daigneault, add in a very disciplined approach, a team that plays together on a string, and you've got the makings of what could be a really tough night. Now, if you compound that by not hitting your open shots, by being slow. I was sitting with my friend Adam, and he just kept saying, slow down, slow down. Slow it down. Every turnover, he'd be like, slow it down, slow it down. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You got to run because you don't have the talent to go half court against this team. You got to run it down their throats. And sometimes to run it down someone's throat, you got to force misses. And the Raptors didn't force enough misses. So their defense basically choked their offense tonight. Their defense was not good. Okay. Miscommunications galore. I don't think Bruno Fernando played well tonight. I don't think Chris Boucher played well tonight. I don't think RJ Barrett played well tonight. I think Davion Mitchell was his usual self, which is terrible. This was bad. The two guys who did play relatively well were Grady Dick and Jonathan Mobo. I believe that those two held up. And you know what? If you're looking at Jonathan Mobo career trajectory so far, he has come a very, very long way since Summer League. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, this is a guy who in the first few games of the year was struggling to score against any amount of length. And today he's able to get free. He's fighting, he's competing, he's scoring, he's shooting threes. You like the progress, right? Jamison Battle has been a relative positive. Jacoby Walter continues to pile up some very negative performances after I made that nice little post about him. It's all good, man. You're in different trajectories right now. You're in different elements or different places in your life cycle. The OKC Thunder have been here. The Toronto Raptors have been here, 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago, they were here, right? This is just a part of the process. You're not supposed to beat this team. You're also not supposed to get smoked by 40. So there's a middle ground somewhere in there. If Jakob Poeltl plays, how much does it help? I think it helps a little bit. It helps a little bit just because of how much better he is than Chris Boucher and Bruno Fernando. I think it helps a little bit. Maybe it helps your interior defense just a little bit, which allows you to pressure a little bit more on the perimeter. Maybe it helps get a couple of offensive rebounds and some tips. Maybe it gives Scotty a little bit of an outlet. I think the Raptors' process just tonight was terrible. I think they came out flat, which is disappointing. At home, winning 2 straight, you can't come out flat. And again, so much of this is going to fall on the Raptors not competing hard enough, not communicating well enough defensively, not getting back in transition, not taking care of the basketball. Some of it comes down to Scotty Barnes not being necessarily assertive enough, forceful enough, forcing the issue maybe a couple of times with the jumpers. Maybe it sometimes comes down to RJ Barrett, some of his tunnel vision decision making. There's a couple of plays which we'll definitely look at right now where he's going 100 miles an hour to the rim, trying to force something, trying to make something happen. Again, genuinely from the best intentions, but he's got wide open teammates. You got to trust it. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be, vilified for it, but I really don't care. You cannot play against the OKC Thunder and have players like Davion Mitchell on the court. You just can't. You make it way too easy. It's hard enough. To beat this team 5-on-5. Trying to beat them 4-on-5 and 3-on-5. Are you crazy? I think a lot of this goes down to Darko Rajakovic, okay? I think he overplayed Davion tonight, thinking that it was going to do something. Look, man, this defensive, stuff, maybe, it'll work on a LaMelo Ball, right? Who's got a tendency to play on the ball and maybe just force his offense a little bit. It's not going to work with Shai Gilgeous Alexander. It's effective in a sense, right? It's effective in a sense. Paradise Lost saying Davion Mitchell's average. Yo, I wish he was average. I pray every day he was average. I'll pray to 15 different gods that he be average. He's not average. He's not an average player. Okay. The thing that I said about the Raptors having played 30 roster guys last year, and 17 of them are either on minimum contracts, 2-way contracts, medically retired, or out of the league in Europe somewhere. Yeah. And you know what? 17 of those players, I would say 10 of them were better than Davion Mitchell. 9, 8. You don't think Gary Trent, like Jonte Porter, like these guys are better. Like let's just be real, okay? Like let's not be stupid here. So the compounding issue here is that a game like this is a nice wake-up call for a reality check. Just a reality check, okay? Just a reality check. This is who you are against the best of the best. You're not this bad. I refuse to believe that the Toronto Raptors are get blown out by 35, 40 points, bad. Okay. But when your shots don't fall and their shots do fall, the 3-point variance element of it will make it this bad. Where do the Raptors go from here? A loss is a loss. Lose by 2, lose by 30, lose by 40. It's certainly a good thing. It can be a blessing in disguise. Sometimes after a couple wins, you start to feel yourself, you start to gas yourself up a little bit. Maybe you get a little bit fat, you get a little bit lazy, right? You get a little bit complacent. Well, a loss like this is a very sobering punch in the face. They often say sometimes a punch in the face is very good for you. I can tell you, as someone who's taken several punches to my face, that it has always prompted deep introspection and change behavior. Sometimes it's good to get punched in the face, especially when you deserve it and you're doing something wrong that you shouldn't be doing, and maybe talking a little bit shit, and you shouldn't be talking so much shit. And it's a sobering reality check that, hey, like, we have a long way to go. I heard Masai Ujiri was on the broadcast. I believe the last time he was on the broadcast, it was against the Cleveland Cavaliers when the Raptors got blown out. So Masai Ujiri is like, I don't know, negative. I don't know. Does Masai Ujiri get a net rating of like negative 35, negative 38? You just stay in the tunnel, Masai. Like, don't come out. Drake was also at the game. That was very interesting. He stayed for what felt like 12 seconds. We caught him coming in, a lot of fanfare. Shai dabbed him up, and then, we blinked, looked around, ordered some popcorn. He was gone. So, global ambassador, he was there for Shai Gilgeous Alexander. Just make no mistake about it. He was there for Shai, and he was there, it was Giants of Africa night. That was very cool. Where do you go from here? Again, a loss is a loss. You were never supposed to win this game. At no point, I repeat, at no point when we looked at this schedule, did you or any sane person with 2 brain cells to rub together said OKC is supposed to be a win. You wanted to test yourself. You tested yourself. You fell up flat. Okay. You failed. You flunked. You got abused. You got absolutely dismantled. It looked like you were playing 7-on-5. It looked like you were a JV team going up against a NCAA pro team. Okay. It was bad. Where do you go from here? Offensive execution, offensive toughness, physicality. You got out athletic, and there's no reason for you to get this badly outplayed. You have Ochai Agbaji. I understand Ochai Agbaji and Cason Wallace. Maybe there's a bit of an athletic gap, but it's not that big. It's not as big as it looked tonight. Okay. That was a team that executed. The Toronto Raptors were a team that did not execute. Okay. Need more from Grady. No, I actually should say we need more of the team going towards Grady and less of the team going towards open threes for Davion and open threes for Chris Boucher. Unfortunately, your offense funnels to your worst option all the time. You want to know something? If you want to generate 35 3-point attempts for Bruno Fernando, all of them will be open shots, and all of them will be terrible shots. You shouldn't take those. The Raptors, unfortunately, even in the games that they win, have a tendency to go for the low-hanging fruit, right? They go for the pick and roll between 2 players who cannot create in the pick and roll, or they'll go for the open 3 for the player that's clearly open for a friggin' reason. And on some level, it's a bit of a catch-22. That player has to take that shot. But on the other hand, if the player can't make an open 3 at a successful clip, and by successful clip, I mean open 3, you should be hitting around 42 or 44% if you're an NBA player. If you can't hit open 3s at that clip, you shouldn't be playing basketball on this team. But you are. Anyways, let's get Coach Mo on here. Coach Mo, what's up?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
When I was like thinking to myself, okay, with Pirtle and our starting lineup minus IQ and the main guys that have been out for a while now, I give us 5% chance of winning this game. 5 to 10.
5%.
Nope. Yeah. With no Jakob, 0. And when I went into, we're definitely going to lose this game, we scored what? 21 points. No, we scored 17 points in the first quarter. Okay. I see I see Bruno. Bruno's useless. Bruno's absolutely useless. That dude has 2 left feet. He's horrible.
He
Okay.
was turning it around for a bit, though, in
Yeah,
fairness.
he was, but again, we're facing OKC now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I see 17 points in the first quarter. Davion's on the court. I'm like, okay, Darko, get battle in the game right now for Mitchell right this second. You've mentioned it. This game, we would have lost either way, but we lost to the degree we did because of Darko. I am so fucking sick and tired of seeing coaches. I'm just gonna run my rotations, bro. Today ain't the day. You're struggling to score. This defense is so good. You mentioned it. I mean, how many all defensive guys? Lou Dort. They have Kason Wallace, Alex Caruso, J Dub's a good defender, SJ's a good defender, Hartenstein's a good defender, Isaiah Joe's competent. I'm like, how are you going to score on this team when you have Bruno, Mogbo, Shed, Mitchell, Boucher playing the worst of his life? It's like you got to give these dudes a chance. They don't have to guard 2 people. There was a play, RJ got blocked, right? RJ just got
Mm-hmm.
blocked. I go and rewind. Lou Dort just walked away from Mogbo, who was above the break. Just walked away from him. You're having elite all NBA level defenders roaming for free. This was the easiest defensive game they'll play all year.
I mean, they probably play the
All
Washington
year.
Wizards twice, like everyone
Yeah.
else. But
Okay. So tell me, do the Washington Wizards play what? 4 or 5 non-NBA players? That's what
they
we did tonight.
must. How do you think they're losing so much? Of course, they play non-NBA players.
I
I mean,
guess
they
so.
don't play good players. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And they certainly don't have anyone as good as
We're
Scotty
playing
Barnes or
non-NBA
RJ
players.
Barrett.
We're playing non-NBA players.
Oh, for sure, we're playing non-NBA players. But in fairness, Jonathan Mobile scored 17. So I'm not even mad at that.
I'm not mad at Jonathan Mobile, and I would have started him. I was actually curious to see
100%. He should have started.
That's why I was interested in seeing who Darko would start in the third quarter, because I'm like,
He started Jonathan Mobile.
Yeah, but I wanted to okay, and then I was like, who's this first guy off the bench? And Battle got on the court pretty quick. You can't the spacing. People are like, oh, Scotty, he's shooting too many threes. These people need to break down film and just see what happens. It's impossible to score. I was watching the game and I said the exact same thing you said.
Look at this three. Sorry, look at this block. Okay, like, how do you finish over that? Like, how is he supposed to finish over that? Like, that's Lou Dort. Like, Lou Dort is gonna flatline you. And by the way, it's like Grady's open, but look at Ochai. He's like wide open in the corner, and he's a 49% 3-point shooter. I mean, this is on RJ. Like, this is what I say: execution. Right? You have done your job at this point. You have drawn 3 defenders to you. Clearly, this is good. Scotty is not necessarily open, but Ochai is wide open. So swing the basketball and get it to him. Grady is open above the break. Get it to him. Why would you have to force this? This is like the Raptors. Sometimes you just have poor process. That's what it is. And sometimes you're going to face a really bad defense like Indiana, and that dumbass decision is going to be a good decision because Miles Turner is going to be late and Pascal Siakam's helpless. But against Lou Dort and Isaiah Hartenstein, it's not going to work. And this is why, ironically, I had a choice to choose between this game or the Pacers game. Feast or famine. I chose the worst game of the year versus the best game of the year. And that's hilarious. You know what I mean? Like, it just
it's what's funny? I watched the RJ highlight reel for the Pacers game because I was curious. I'm like, I just wanted to see for myself because I'm like, maybe I'm being a hater. Let me see the buckets he got and how many of them are star level buckets. I swear to God, Rob, I swear to God, it was like about 80% of his buckets were either him attacking a defense that's already compromised on the move, or it was just horrible defense. But against this, that shit is not gonna work. This you called it role player buckets. Role player buckets don't work on OKC.
Yeah.
Not
I
from your
mean,
top guys. Not from your top guys.
like, look at this. Like, that's Case and Wallace. Okay. Case and Wallace shot, I want to say, like close to 50% from three last year to start, at least. He was shooting better than everybody. He's a good 3-point shooter. So here it's 24-44 with 8 minutes to go in the second quarter, which is like, we're just looking at the score like, oh my God, is this going to be a 50-point blowout, 60-point blowout? This is going to be bad, right? And you finally get a three to fall for Grady. And on the very next play, look at this. Like, this is too easy. Like, way too easy. What is Grady doing here? Like, going behind Isaiah Hartenstein? What are you playing? Peekaboo? What are we doing here? It's just terrible. And there's no reason to do that. Like just look at this. What was the possible reason to do this other than thinking that Cason Wallace is going to... But it's like, he's clearly stopped. Now, I understand Isaiah Hartenstein's a big person, but this is too open. And it's like, if you want to see like how they got these shots to go in, they got them to go in because they were goddamn open a lot. Isaiah Joe was open a lot.
Okay, but Rob, I agree with
how,
you.
Oh, they said mostly. I feel like that's the easiest shot Cason Wallace got all his life.
Okay, and Jacoby Walter wasn't missing open shots.
Oh, Jacoby missed a ton of open shots.
That's the problem. They won't miss their open shots. We can't even make open shots.
Well, that's where you say execution, right? Like, it's execution. Like, okay, look at this one. Okay, here you got Ochai Agbaji and Grady Dick sort of splitting the difference on Shai Gilgeous Alexander. Davion Mitchell is going to recover here. And RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes are both ganged up on Lou Dort in the paint. And here 21 is just going to hit this. It's open. They're just constantly open. Everything tonight felt open for OKC. It's like nothing. Like, this was probably the only highlight of the game. I'm going to say like this plus watching J-Mo's three was like, to me, the highlight. And this I don't know, you probably remember this play, the Grady bank shot, like off the, boom, Ochai. Now, look at how hard our shots are. Look at how hard our shots are.
They have better defenders.
Well, okay, that's part of it. But I think Scotty, I think Scotty would start on OKC.
Yeah,
unquestionably.
Yeah,
he would be like their second or third best player.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know where they would fall on the Chet versus Scotty debate, but I'm pro Scotty. My point is, like, apart from Scotty, nobody on this team would start on OKC. No. But guys like Ochai, guys like Grady could get minutes on OKC. I think Jonathan Mobo could carve out like a deep rotation spot on OKC. He's certainly a lot better than Brandon Carlson, I'll tell you that much. So, like, there's some guys on this team that are good athletes. Davion Mitchell's a good athlete. He's a really good athlete. So you should be able to at least physically match them to some degree. There's no reason for them to be this open. Like, the offense cannot dictate your defense. And I feel like tonight, the Toronto Raptors just missed so many shots and they just didn't play the defense. And there wasn't the right toughness. I hate to boil everything down to toughness, but to any Raptor fan right now feeling like, are we this much worse than OKC, Rob? I don't think you're this much worse than OKC. I think you played this much worse than OKC tonight.
Okay. In terms of talent gap, we're this much worse.
I don't think you're 37.
We put up on the court tonight. The 10 guys we played tonight, yeah, they're that much better than us. Come on. You're talking about Ochai Agbaji. They have like three guys who are a version of Ochai Agbaji, but just better than him.
Sure.
Like, Ochai Agbaji is our stopper. They have like three guys who are better at that.
He's not really much of a stopper. I feel like
he's our version of that. That's how bad we suck.
Okay, so again, this is where I think reality is going to we have to do a reality check for some Raptor fans here, because I know that we like to gas up our players, and we're generally positive fan base, even though I've got a bit of a reputation for being a bit negative. I'm certainly not. Like, I obviously want to support our dudes and whatever. Ochai Agbaji versus their fourth fifth best defender is not even close. It's not a discussion. It's not close, right? Here, Ochai Baji is going to make one. That was nice. Scotty finds Ochai for 3. I was telling my buddy because, it was funny actually going to the game was really hilarious. A lot of people recognized me. There's nothing more awkward than being at the washroom stall and like literally unzipping your pants and someone's like, Pensare Basketball? I was like, oh fuck my life.
That happened?
Yeah, it did. It was not funny. Wally Bangs. You're negative, bro. Well, maybe you're dumb. I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm negative. Maybe you're dumb. Tomato, tomato. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyways, okay.
Here's another thing. It's compounding factors for like the same thing. On defense, how hard do we have to work? Because they spread us out 5 out. The only guy who doesn't shoot is Hartenstein, and he's a problem on the offensive glass. So I mean, we have to work the entire shot clock. How easy for them to guard us when there's 2 non-shooters?
Super easy. So here's the thing. Everything was closed today. So basically, like, like sometimes you go to the mall and it's 9 o'clock and all the stores are just shuttered down and you're like, damn, I missed it. That's what the Raptors passing lanes felt like tonight. That's what everything felt like. Driving lanes, passing lanes, shooting angles, screen angles, everything was just off. Now, the good thing about Yak is he opens up little pockets of space with his screen setting. You really missed that tonight. Because nobody was able to replicate that. And that was so, and he's just efficient offense. Like he's like a good 10 to 14 points to 18 points of efficient offense. Would Yak have made this a 22-point loss? Maybe. We
still lose.
But it still would have been a loss. Would IQ have made this a 15-point loss? Yeah. But at some point, your shooters have to shoot. Now, the cascading issue here is that because Yak opens up these little pockets of space, now you can get into rhythm. Because, man, it's hard to keep missing. You feel bad for Davion Mitchell going 0 for 5 because, the dude works so hard. Like, I'm gonna tell you something about Davion. So it's kind of cool, like to observe this game, in to watch it in real time. Hold on, let's just show the final clip here, which was a Jonathan Mobo 3, right to end the game. So here's JMO for 3, and that was his career high. Nice little moment, like right in front of us. Jonathan Mobo, nice shot. Like, I mean, it looks smooth, man. It does. The mechanics do not look broken. I'll tell you that. So Davion Mitchell was shooting during the intro. I don't think I've seen a player do that. Not, at least not from the home team. Like where everybody's getting ready and they're like, RJ Barrett, and he's still shooting shots. He was still shooting. So, like, great. Out of the halftime, when all the players emerge, it was him, RJ, and Jamison Battle who came out first. So those are the guys who came out first, and they're just shooting. So it's not a lack of trying with Davion. It's a lack of talent. A significant lack of talent. But it is a lack of trying. It's not a lack of trying. The dude is probably like the hardest worker on the team, probably. It just, it's talent. And you feel bad because during the intro, he was making every 3. Not every 3. He made 3 in a row. I was very happy for him. But then the game starts and it's just 0 for 5.
And those are the ones he takes. We're not even counting the other 100 times he's wide open and just is hesitant. And they're just staring at him like, go ahead, bro. Facts. Whenever you're ready.
I was telling my friend, I was like, watch number 45. That dude hates my guts. And he was just like, why does he hate your guts? And I was like, because I keep saying that he can't shoot. And he's like, can he shoot? I'm like, no, he can't. He's like, does he know that? I'm like, I hope he does. And,
the other team does.
Yeah. Wally Bag saying, shooters, Scotty is a bricklayer. Man, you special needs. Are you kidding me right now? You telling me I'm negative and you're calling your best player a bricklayer? For real now? Come on, man. Jeez. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that when you play non-shooters, those passing lanes and driving lanes are basically done. At which point you need Ja Morant level speed and athleticism to break down defense. At which point you're meeting Isaiah Hartenstein at the rim.
Exactly.
Like it's just too difficult. Everything is too difficult. They're too physical. They're too athletic. And I think this was a very sobering reality for sure. Like this was very sobering. And I hope that RJ and Scotty will look at this game and say, okay, this was embarrassing. We like the winning way more than the losing. But again, this loss puts us in door number 3 territory, doesn't it? You remember door number 1, 2, and 3? This feels like door number 3, where you beat the Indiana, you beat the Miami, no one's definition of great teams, and then you get smoked by OKC.
But they're the
So how
best
many
team.
of
But
these
they're the best team.
they've lost 5 times this year. They're not unbeatable.
Oh, you
In
know
in
what?
fairness, one of those games they lost because Jalen Williams was playing center, but in fairness,
Also, did you? It just felt like they just played like it was a scrimmage game. Like they didn't. It was just
they didn't break a sweat all
casual.
night. They didn't break
They
a
didn't
sweat
sweat
all night.
all night. It was just casual. But I'm telling you, Rob, the talent gap, it's just filthy. Like the amount of players they have that casually knock down shots, and we have Jamison Battle and we're celebrating. We're like, oh my God, a shooter. They have like 8 of those guys and they're freaking plus defenders. Like
Facts.
this, it's the seismic gap in talent. If we were to run a simulation of today's game with these players, we get blown out every time. It's just not happening, bro. It's not happening. Our margin for error against this team is like nothing.
Facts. It's just hard. It's hard to sustain offense. It's hard to guard even when there's just breakdown after breakdown after breakdown, right? Everybody's a threat to score. That's the cool thing about OKC. Everybody's a threat to score. They don't really play non-shooters because they understand what catastrophic elements that non-shooters, non-scorers, and they move everything fast. So I think if you're the Toronto Raptors, you look at a team like OKC almost with admiration. You say, if we stick to this for a few years, we do this right, this is what we're aiming for. This is what we want to be. With Scotty as our Shai Gilgeous Alexander and who knows who as our Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. I think a game like this kind of shows you the need, maybe if you're really like one of those Tank World Order diehards. I think a game like this shows you the need for a guy like Cooper Flag or Wemby or guys like that, where you're like, maybe that's the gap in a game like this, where those are the types of guys that can break through the athletic difference, right? I don't know.
But okay, I understand the Cooper Flag, but like they have SGA and they have Chet and they have J Dub. Cool. I think the gap is they have a Cason Wallace, they have an Aaron Wiggins, they have an Alex Caruso, they have an Isaiah Joe. Like
I mean, if the
it's
Raptors wanted an Alex Caruso this offseason, could they not have gotten him with a couple of first round picks? Yes. I mean, sure. It's not like Josh Giddey was worth that much. It's not like if you had wanted to, you couldn't have gotten him. You could have gotten him. The question is, are Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein the type of guys you get as finishing pieces or starting pieces?
finishing.
I think those are finishing pieces.
Yeah.
So initially, you have to find your Lou Dorts, right? And again, Lou Dort, very underrated and extremely good, basketball player, absolutely worth every penny of that $17 million he earns. And then you take guys like Case and Wallace. Again, these are draft decisions. These are great draft decisions. And, my friend was asking me, like, how did they get so good? Like, how is this team so good? What did they do well? And I was like, what don't they do well? They do everything well. They're a stand-up organization. They develop very well. They coach very well. They scout very well. They have great assistant coaches, great development coaches. And again, it's ironic because a lot of the same things I would say about OKC are things that I would say about Toronto. It's just maybe you're not ready yet. You know what I mean? This is like, a 16-year-old fighting prodigy facing off against a 26-year-old heavyweight champion. You know what I mean? Like, you're talented. You'll get there someday with the right work, but it's too soon. And what Scotty, RJ, Grady, Ochai potentially, Ulrich potentially, Jonathan Mobile potentially. What these guys all project to be, who knows, man? You think Jonathan Mobile isn't better than Casey Wallace? Sorry, not Casey Wallace. Lou Dort at the same age? I think he's better than Lou Dort at the same age. I really do. I'm not kidding. I really do think he's
Rob,
that. What?
to be clear,
Mm-hmm.
my issue tonight isn't Mogul. I understand Mogul. I understand Jamal Shed to a large degree. Jameson Battle. I'm okay with Jacoby Walter struggling. But tonight isn't the night to ride Mitchell. It really ain't. Right? My issue is okay, play the young guys, but put some competent.
But you're missing a part of your sentence. Tonight is not the night to ride Davion Mitchell unless provided your goal is to win basketball games. I don't think the goal tonight was to win basketball games. I think the goal tonight was to expose yourself and to test yourself. And, what did Darko say after they faced the Cleveland Cavaliers? He said, I wish we could face this team every week. Well, you just faced another Cleveland Cavaliers. This is a suffocating defense with efficient offense, very well coached, very good young team that you're going to have to deal with for a very long time. OKC is not going anywhere. Barring injuries and like career-threatening injuries, this OKC team is going to be a force to be reckoned with for the next 6-7 years. If the Raptors hope to win a championship, this is a team you're going to have to go through at some point. So, again, these are the games that good coaching staffs love because they get everyone paying attention, right?
But devil's advocate.
Sure.
I understand Mitchell, Bruno. They're great for the tank, especially a game like tonight. They're great for the tank. Play them. You'll lose, guaranteed. But how does that help? How do those guys help Scotty and Grady and Walter and RJ like develop? Because it's like they're just suffocated. There's just a blanket over them. And it's like when you're beat up this bad, you didn't even have a shot,
Well, okay, here's the question. Do you remember all those trades that OKC made where they were taking extra years, Akemba, Al Horford, Chris Paul, et cetera, and they were getting draft assets for it, where they would give up something and they would get something back. They got younger by giving away veterans, et cetera. So I think the Raptors can learn from that. And I think, look, I don't want to get into
They weren't
Davion.
playing those guys. I swear they told Al Horford to sit.
They did.
Kimber barely played. They're not doing what we're doing with Mitchell. We're just playing him.
Well, Mitchell is not Al Horford. Mitchell helps you win, helps you lose. Al Horford helps you win. There's a difference. Big difference. Okay. Let us never ever put Davion Mitchell and Chris Paul and Al Horford in the same sentence.
Wasn't playing. I'm just saying those guys.
Well, I mean, no, hang on. What are we doing? Bruce Brown would help you win right now, would he not? He's sitting. Kelly Olynyk would help you win right now, right? He's sitting. I mean, there's no chance in hell that Kelly Olynyk's back injury is this significant that he's been out for 2 months. Like, it's just like one day he was playing, the next day he's out with a back injury that's going to be tested next week, and the next thing you know, he's missed 2 fucking months. And it's like, at some point, Bruce Brown going to be evaluated in 3 weeks. That was 7 weeks ago. I feel like that was 8 weeks ago.
You know what the story on him is? Now apparently they're reporting that he's such a valuable trade asset that they don't want him to look bad. So they want to make sure his cardio is good and he's ramped up and he's ready to go so he can be the best version of himself.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he's worth so much. So much. I talked to a GM yesterday and he said he would send me a Kinder Surprise for Bruce Brown. He's not worth that much. You'd be very lucky to extract a second round pick. Very lucky. You're not getting a first for him. If the Raptors pull out a monkey, if they pull out a monkey out of their ass and get a first round pick for Bruce Brown, I will salute Masai Ujiri and just say, yo, I didn't think it was possible. Good for you.
It's not possible.
I don't think it's possible. He's just not that good. He's not that good, but he's so much better than the players that are playing for us right now. And he would have helped tonight. Emmanuel quickly would help tonight. It's like IQ is a guy that you took care of, right? Monetarily took care of, a little bit, overpaid him a little bit. So, you see a guy like Emmanuel Quickly and you're like, okay, Emmanuel Quickly probably helps you get closer in this game. Jakob Poeltl, these guys are all under contract. So, you can sit them and maybe, help Scotty really expose himself against a really good team. Because a lot of people, myself included, got very, very excited about what Scotty did against Indiana, right? But in the same breath, everyone does that to Indiana. Like everyone scores against Indiana. It's just like a terrible fucking defense. Pascal scored 36 points last year against Indiana. I think it was his best game as a Raptor last season. So again, this is a game where, if you're Scotty Barnes, you're like, okay, I've been getting more comfortable with the handle. I've been getting better at getting to the paint, getting to the rim. I've been getting better at getting my shot off against contested defenses. But now it's Cason Wallace and Lou Dort, and it feels different. I've been beating the second layer of the defense, but now it's Isaiah Hartenstein, and I've got Lou Dort poking behind me, and now it's different. So again, games like this just they teach you who you are. They really help you dial in and focus. They're a humbling reminder to continue to work. I have no doubt that the Raptors are going to be a really, really good team in a couple of years. I know that they will be, like 100%. Just seeing the growth from Jonathan Mobo, just seeing the growth from Scotty, Grady, all these guys, it's 100% there. There's no reason to be panicking or upset about this game at all. I just think that a game like this is like, it exposes the gaps a little bit, and yeah, I mean, again, I've been screaming all year, Davion Mitchell, not an NBA player, and people are just like, oh, but hating, not hating, stating truth. If you had to pick 3 guys off this team that are not going to be in the NBA next year, he's definitely one of them, 100%. And again, I pointed to it. There's 17 guys on a 30-man roster last year that are either not in the NBA on minimum contracts, 2-way contracts for the Raptors. So it's certainly possible. Okay.
And you already mentioned it, but boy, oh boy, Boucher tonight.
He was
My
awful.
God. It's like
He was a train wreck.
It's like he was playing 2K. It's like he was a 2K character, and a 10-year-old had a controller. It was just like it's insane. He catches it.
I don't think a 10-year-old would do this. So I really don't.
5-year-old had the controller.
3-year-old, a
It
drunk
was so bad,
3-year-old.
So bad. It was so. That guy has never seen a shot he doesn't like ever.
Yo, he got the loudest ovation. Yo, can I ask you a question? What is this? What is this city's obsession with scrubs? I want to know. Chris Boucher and Davion Mitchell got such loud ovations. People love these guys.
Shelter.
Granted,
homeless shelter, Make-A-Wish Foundation. That's what we are.
I feel like, like
if we had a player that was diagnosed with cancer and shot 25% from the field, they'd cheer their heart out. Start him. We're just. We suck, bro. We suck, and we love trash. We hate Vince. We hate Scotty. We love JYD.
Yo, the same people telling me that Scotty Barnes can't play point guard because he doesn't score enough are sitting here capping for Davion Mitchell. I don't get it. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
I know.
Like this is the fan base that gave Pops Mensah Bonsu a standing ovation.
I love that guy though.
I did too, but like for real, standing ovation for Pops Mensah Bonsu. This is the same fan base that was screaming MVP for Chris Bosh. Like I really do believe that there is a basketball IQ collective deficit, in the city, and we need to bridge it. We need to solve it. We need to show people, like it's so hilarious. The guy I went to the game with, Adam, he was telling me before the game, he's like, Chris Boucher, he's great. Davion Mitchell, he tries so hard, and I was just like, oh my God, okay.
Yeah,
we're gonna try to educate during this game. We're gonna expose like all the stuff that's going wrong here, because it's like when you see a guy dive for a loose ball, you see a guy block a big shot. That's a guy who's great. When you see Scotty Barnes popping up from 3 and missing 3 in a row, that's the guy who sucks. But it's like, we need to retrain our eyes to see the game a little bit differently. But yes, I understand that this city has like a perpetual self-identification with underdogs, because they themselves see themselves as underdogs. And so, a guy like Kyle Lowry, who was actually great at basketball, mirrors, like he matches both. So he's not only the underdog, he's not only super tough, but he's also like really great at basketball.
But here's the problem with the logic, Rob. They like underdogs. Cooper Flagg's not an underdog.
No, he's not.
We don't need Cooper Flagg. We should be going for the 60th pick. We'll love that guy. Why are we tanking for players we're just going to hate?
Bro, I swear to God, if Cooper comes to Toronto, like there will be media scrutiny like hell about that guy. Like every day he goes 0 for 3 from 3. People like, oh, he's a scrub. He's an entitled diva. La 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 la. I mean, I swear, like CBC is going to publish some sort of bullshit about white privilege on him. Like, I don't really know what the angle is going to be, but it's going to be bad, right? No, man, it's just like I think there's an identification thing with life where you tend to identify with what you see in yourself with others, right? So if you identify as a bit of a scrappy underdog, whatever, this was why I like really outspoken people. I'm very outspoken. I understand it. I completely do. So I don't know, like we're champions now, like the Toronto Raptors won a championships. Can we start to like identify with like winners and champions, like I don't know,
I
maybe.
know it's not like they didn't watch the championship team and all the great players on that roster, and then they watched Boucher and Davion and be like, yeah, they're good, nice, they're good. It's like, really? We're not that far from removed from playing the best basketball in the league for a year.
Oh, for sure. The Toronto Raptors played, the second best basketball in the league for almost a 8-year stretch. Did you catch the open gym episode? The last one? It was great. It's like my favorite open gym episode probably ever, featuring Andrea Bargnani. Yeah, that was great.
Oh, I love Andrea, man.
I didn't know this about you. Okay, this is amazing. Yeah, so Darko talks about Andrea on that open gym episode, and it was very illuminating to see Darko and Jorge Garbajosa, because again, two guys who really understand basketball talking about Andrea Bargnani, and it's like,
wait,
I'm glad, man.
Wait, this happened recently? A meetup?
Yeah. What?
Garbo and Darko meetup?
No, so the open gym episode features Brian Colangelo, Jorge Garbajosa, Andrea Bargnani in a sit-down interview in which he addresses his primo pasta and sauce. He's so goddamn likable.
Hold on. I'm confused. Current day, these guys in current day talking about the old days?
Yep.
Oh, I need to watch this.
Hang on, I'm gonna show you a clip of it. Hang on, I gotta find it.
I wish Andrea had Darko as his coach, bro.
Oh, so do I. Okay,
I wish he had Darko as his coach and he was playing today.
Oh, this is yeah. Okay, hang on.
Really bad at media and in front of the camera. So
Can
a lot
you
of
hear
people.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I always sucked really bad at media and in front of the camera. So a lot of people don't know anything about me. They don't know myself. They don't know. They just don't know me. Looking back, I wanted to play all my career to Toronto. I mean, when I was putting the Toronto jersey, having Toronto here on the chest, Toronto for me is something special. It's not just another city or place where I played. It's still a big part of my life. Canada is still a big part of my life. I look at those memories not in a dramatic way, but in a positive way. I did something unbelievable. I was able to play for the Raptors. It's one of I'm very proud of it.
He had a lot of responsibility, but if you check the stats, if you check his performance, he did a great job. His career, his performance in Toronto, it is better than what people remember.
He was fun to watch. He was a really, really skilled guy.
I think Andrea Bargnani in modern basketball, in today's basketball, he had an amazing career, and I think he would be even better today.
I have a soft spot in my heart for Bargnani. I do. He's a part of our history as that number one pick, and I think a little ahead of his time personally.
Looking back, I would have done everything possible to stay in Toronto. Even if when I was traded it was a rough time, I would have done more to try to go through the rough times and stay to Toronto for good.
Yeah, that was a little bit of it. It's 20 minutes. It's a really good watch. I very much suggest it. I know a lot of people who were involved with the Raptors during that period. That's when I was most connected to the Raptors. So that was a very nice, touching. It was one of my favorite teams, the 06, 07, Anthony Parker, Jorge Garbosa, Andrea Bargnani, Rasan Esterovic. Like, my God, Roko Leniukic. Like, this was Jose Calderon, to a lesser degree, Chris Bosh, but definitely TJ Ford, who I loved. Yeah, it was a beautiful team to watch. It was one of the first times that almost an entirely European team, they were just way ahead of their time. And, unfortunately, Andrea's career went sideways after his second year. They forced him to bulk up. It just didn't work out here. A lot of injuries. But he wasn't nearly as bad as people want to pretend he was. He wasn't Michael Candy. He wasn't those guys. And he certainly wasn't bad because he didn't care. And he was a very talented kid. And, I think the Raptors just really botched his development, but he worked hard, man. He worked really hard. I knew
They
a lot
didn't
of
know
people
what to
around
do
him.
with this guy. They didn't know what to do with this guy. At one point, they put him at small forward. Then they tell him, bulk up. You're center now. They didn't know what they were doing with that guy.
I agree.
But the most memorable time that year, I think 06, 07 was, remember when Bosch hit that 3 against the Sixers?
I do.
And then he stuck his chin out and Sam Mitchell started laughing when Bosch hit the
remember that.
game-winning 3.
I don't remember that.
And Sam Mitchell just looked, because I don't know, it was hilarious. It was like Sam Mitchell's like, really? Your first 3, you took that shot and it went in, like the balls on this guy?
Yeah, that was the ironic thing. I wasn't a huge Chris Bosh fan after seeing him in the playoffs that year against Mikey Moore. I was kind of out on him. I supported him loosely, like 04 or 05. I watched him at the ABCD camp back when the ABCD camp was still around before the Raptors got the pick. I was really preying on Carmelo Anthony back then. The Raptors had the 3rd best odds going into the draft, and I knew Darko was going number 2, LeBron going number 1. I'm like, oh my God, we got Melo. I was so happy because I love Melo at Oak Hill, Syracuse, whatever. Again, I've been plugged into this game for a very, very long time. Obsessed with this game for a very long time. And Carmelo Anthony was one of my favorite college players ever. I watched every game of his Syracuse run with McNamara and Hakeem Warwick. I don't know if you were watching that, but like he was awesome. And to see Vince Carter's face when the Raptors fell from 3 to 4, like you could just tell. And he wanted to trade that pick so badly. He did. He wanted to trade it. Then he wanted to, then he wanted to push for us to get, I think the next year was Rafael Arujo versus the dreaded Rafael Arujo versus Andre Iguodala decision. It's just unfortunate that era of Raptors, was so tainted by bad decisions. But again, Andrea was one of my favorite players in Europe. I watched him live playing for Benetton because of a lot of my family is from Treviso. So, I was like, wow, like this 17-year-old kid, we saw him in Toronto play against the Raptors. I think he scored like 13, 14 points in that game. And so watching him live in Treviso was so beautiful. He was so passionate. He was so good. He was defensively engaged. He blocked like 4 shots in the game I watched. He's hitting threes. He's athletic. He's quick. He's like, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's better than Chris Bosh at the same age. He really felt it. And then, you get the number 1 pick in the 06 draft. And of course, like the fall off of like KD is not allowed in the draft. High school players are not involved in the draft. And then it's like, I'm looking at Andrea. I'm looking at LaMarcus Aldridge. I'm hearing the stories coming out of Chicago about their meeting with LaMarcus Aldridge not going well. And I'm like, I think it's Andrea 100% because Aldridge and Bosh was a clunky fit. And yeah, I think at that point, if I was running the Raptors, and again, I wasn't, but if I was Brian Colangelo, that's exactly when I would have traded Chris Bosh. That's exactly when I would have traded Chris Bosh.
And he should have been the 4 because they were both 4s.
Andrea was a 4, exactly. And then they tried to make him a 3. They tried to make him a 5, and it just didn't work. He operated in the exact same places as Bosh. He wanted the same places on the court as Bosh. And so, in a lot of ways, the Andrea and Chris Bosh situation reminded me of this very, very talented kid coming up behind a player who wasn't as talented as him. Like I don't think Chris Bosh was as naturally talented as Andrea Bargnani. I really don't. I know he was a much better basketball player, but he was not more naturally talented than Andrea. Like Andrea's passing ability, Andrea's shooting, ball handling was incredible. And even his defense, I think, was inspiring in spurts. Like he had games against Shaq and Dwight Howard where you were like, wow, this is incredible defense. But seeing the clunky fit, the weird rotations, his relationship with Sam Mitchell was not good. So it's just like, it's just it was a tough thing. And also losing Jorge Barbosa was a very, very big blow for him. He was huge. Like Jorge and Andrea were like this during his rookie season. They were both rookies together, ironically, even though Jorge was 28 years old. And when Jorge goes down on that play, that disastrous play where he gets hurt, Andrea's season pretty much tailed off from there. I think he played pretty competitively in the playoffs, but man, that was tough. So I think that was a reminder, the Andrea and Bosh situation, of the Barnes and Siakam situation. Like the parallels were very obvious in year 2 when Barnes started to struggle. I was like, here we go again with the same bullshit. Like we're trying to force this guy away from a natural position on the court They're super similar players, but one is just naturally more talented. So that was a big reason for the push.
Anyways, I'm gonna head out, but
All right, man. Peace.
it's gonna be bittersweet when we start beating the bad teams again. Like it's just, it's like I'm waiting for the first good win because we haven't had one yet, right? No good win yet.
I think it's fair to say we haven't had a really good win. No. I mean,
right.
you could say the Indiana win was a good win in the sense that, you know, you got a really great performance from Scotty and it's a pretty commanding lead, but then you almost piss it away. You get down to 102, 105, which kind of made it like less convincing. Like I feel like if for the Indiana game to be a good win, you needed to smoke them by like 25. And Liberal saying Kings. Liberal, please check where the Kings are in the standings right now. Just
I can't believe
do me that favor.
DeMar would solve any problem there.
Dude, I was against the DeMar signing right away. I mean, do you realize like they gave up 2 second-round picks to get off of Davion so they could sign DeMar and made themselves worse in the process. And look at how much Keegan Murray is struggling right now. And people want to act like brand new and acting like Keegan Murray just forgot how to play basketball. No, man, it's just like it's a terrible fit. They got too much of the same thing. Like, oh, congratulations, you got Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis. You got one basketball.
But Rob, imagine the clutch time play between De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan, bro.
It's still one ball. When they start playing basketball with 2 balls, then I'll salute your ability to get DeMar DeRozan and De'Aaron Fox on the same team. But for now, under our current rules of basketball, I don't believe that having those 2 on the court is necessarily a productive thing, unless of course they're in different units. Like if DeMar was a 6-man, then I would understand it. But Malik is so similar, you know. Like I mean, as a half-court playmaker, as an athlete, he's different, but he needs the basketball in his hands. He's a better shooter than DeMar, so I'll give him that much. But it's like you need different pieces to fit together. I think that's what OKC teaches you, right? Like you can have pieces that can overlap a little bit, but they need to be able to fit together well. You know, you need to have like the off-ball component of it. Like Cason Wallace is so underrated because he's not just a guy who can handle the basketball and run your offense. He's also elite off the ball. Yeah. You know, he does all the little stuff. Like Cason Wallace can play 4, 3, 2, 1 defensively. You know, in a lot of ways, he's like a taller Davion Mitchell if Davion Mitchell had actual basketball talent. You know, like
no, I agree.
Legit, he's great.
Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, Lou Dort. You can have them all on the court. They overlap, but that's a good overlap.
Right. It's a little bit like OG Scotty. Who else would be in that loose? Yeah, OG Scotty Mobo. Like if you had those 3 together, right?
That's a good overlap.
I don't think they're necessarily in each other's way, right? They may not be perfect, but they can play together really well. They run the offense. OG spaces the corner. Scotty's popping above the break. Jonathan Mobo is running to the basket. It fits. Like they fit on the court together, but defensively, they're all switchable. They're all like identical almost body type. Like it's so funny, you know. Like I'm not at all upset about the New York trade. Don't get me wrong. I love the fact that we're not paying OG Anunoby what they're paying him. But I would have loved to see a defensive front court of Scotty, OG, and Mobo just for 5 minutes. I think that would be suffocating. So now you got to go and try to replace OG Anunoby. Can you do that with Colin Murray Boyles or VJ Edgecombe? I don't know. But that type of defensive impact type of player. And that's where, you know, as high as I am on RJ Barrett today on the panel, I pushed for him being the 18th best player, 25 under 25, you know, and everyone agreed. But as high as I am on RJ, I think this is where you start to see like, okay, if him and Grady and IQ are on the court, your 5th player next to Scotty has to be Wemby to compensate or Rudy Gobert. Yeah. Like there's just too much. There's too much missing.
Elite defensive big.
Right. Yeah. And if you're not an elite defensive team, you're never going to beat the OKCs and the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. And if that's the goal, you know what I mean? Like look at the Orlando Magic, you know, like Suggs, Franz, Jonathan Isaac. Like they have so many good defenders. So many good defenders. You know, I would argue Suggs is better than all of our guard defenders combined.
I agree.
You know, it's tough. And what do they do this offseason? They go out and get KCP. Fuck. You know what I mean? And Anthony Black, Like they just keep drafting. Anthony Black's a great defender. You know what I mean? So it's like they're just like, okay, we're not going to be able to score 135 points, but you're not going to be able to score 102. You know?
When you have that much length and that many good individual defenders, the team itself doesn't have to work that hard as a collective because there aren't any holes.
Agreed.
So they don't have a Scotty Barnes running around with his head cut off trying to, plug holes all over the place, right? How hard does Grady have to work just to be passable? Whereas a guy like Alex Caruso is like on autopilot, is elite. They're just that gifted, they're that skilled, and that good at what they do. We have to work so hard. We have to be gimmicky, ball pressure, just to be above water.
And we're not.
And we're huffing and puffing to get scored on. It's not sustainable.
No, it's definitely not sustainable, man. It's a really tough process, and so many times that the Raptors have come down to the wire, and they've been in these games in the fourth quarter. They're running out of gas precisely because they've had to work so hard to get there. Watching the OKC Thunder tonight was like watching the well-oiled machine moving on autopilot.
Mhm.
There was no thinking. There was very little struggle. I don't think they broke a sweat tonight. I don't think the Raptors made them work. I don't think the Raptors pushed them or punished them. I don't think they punished their mistakes. It's just a really bad performance, and it's just hard to put your finger on any one thing. You can say it's the spacing, you can say it's the talent, you can say it's the effort, you can say it's the fact that you didn't make shots, you can say it's the fact that they made a lot of shots, you can say it's your stars didn't show up, your offensive drivers didn't show up, you could say it's Darko and his lineups. You can just say it's an off night. To borrow the Davion Mitchell moniker, it's an off night. Yeah, some nights you're going to be like this, but it felt gutless. It didn't quite mirror what the Lakers did 2 nights ago. I don't know if you watched that, but it's something in the realm of like, just you got punched, you fell down, and you never got back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right. Take care, man. Peace. Okay. Someone is asking me to show the Masai Ujiri clip of the Toronto Raptors talking on the Toronto Raptors. Well, that would be very, very hard to do because I believe that would be demonetized, but I can certainly show the audio from that. I think I think I can do that. Hold on, let me just check here. Raptors Nation. Okay. Give me 1 sec. Also, the post game highlights are the post game interviews are not available per right now. 1 second. Oh, here we go. Raptors president. I'm not gonna be able to show it, but give me 1 second. Let me download this real quick, and then we can listen to it together for those of you who might have missed it or may want to listen to it again. And if there are any more final callers, we'll take, I'd say, callers for the next 5 minutes. Otherwise, we're calling it a night. I want to appreciate all of you guys for sticking with us and for dealing with me being a little bit late on today's live. It was certainly, interesting to go to the game. I came home. My girlfriend's like, "Are you happy you went?" I'm like, "Yes, I guess." Gregory saying, "What happens to super chats if you get demonetized?" Super chats are independent from the video. I will not get demonetized for streaming audio, I believe. So let me just, the super chats are independent. So you keep your super chats. So you are safe. Okay. So that, and let me just put up a little mask so that we can listen to, what mask do y'all want? That's a happy time. Let's use this mask.
For us, when we look at these players, you look at character, you look at the work they've done in college or where they've played, and how they showed that they wanted to be better, they wanted to continue to grow. And they come in here, I think the summer that Darko had with these players, whether it was in Spain, whether it was in Miami, whether it was here in Toronto, the times that they all got together, I think they put in the work. We saw it in the summer, they really put in the work. And it takes time. Well, so far away, and yeah, we've got plenty of work to do, and they have plenty of work to do. But I think it's on us, like we have to find the right players. We have in this rebuild. The faster you find the players, the quicker the rebuild. That's for sure.
I'll tell you this: you talk about Miami, you talk about Spain. My days, we came here. I love Carabana, but I would much rather, get my workouts in the summertime and a little Spain action, a little Miami. I mean, I could have been a better player, I think, but I love the fact that you have young players that are ascending in the right direction. Scotty, RJ, you made Emmanuel quickly. He's not playing right now, but those guys look like, to me, they have the goods and they have what it takes. How do you like how those guys are coming together, the continuity with those guys playing?
No, it's great. And honestly, it wasn't even not just those places. Honestly, when Darko came to the Olympics, the work he did with Quickly and the guys that came to support in the Olympics, and spending the time with them. When he came to Basketball Without Borders, the time he spent with some of these guys. Quickly was in South Africa. They really put in the work and the time, and you build chemistry, right? You build camaraderie, you build trust in each other when times are rough. And there are times when we lost how many games in a row here, and those times are testing, and it's part of what those trips and those times together, where you still believe in each other and respect each other and want to work with each other. So we owe it to our fans, to give an incredible product here, even despite of our record. We have to work hard. We have to play hard, and we have to show hope. That this team is going to be something, and I truly believe this team is going to be something.
That's nice. That's nice. You like to hear that. You would hope that the person building the team, believes in the team. I don't think a lot of other people believe in this team, though. And nights like this can be a little bit overreactionary. I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, okay, well, nothing good that the Raptors have done all year counts. And let's just hone in all our attention and all of our negative energy on everything that happened against OKC. You were playing without your starting center, your starting point guard. I think that's worth noting. You played a lot of young players. I think that's worth noting. They played incredibly well. You played incredibly unwell. And I do believe that if healthy, there's a version of this team, if healthy, if playing well, that can at least be competitive with an OKC. You won't beat them, fine. They're the best team in basketball, in my opinion. Again, just my opinion, not victory lapping, but preseason, I have been calling this team the inevitable champions all year. I believe they will smoke. I believe they'll smoke through the West. I love this team. Okay, I just want to love it with y'all 100%. I love the OKC Thunder. Obviously my allegiance lies with the Toronto Raptors, but there are certain teams that I dabble with. Okay, they're not side pieces, because the allegiance is 100% Toronto, and it always has been. Well, since I moved here, it has always been. But there are teams that, you find interesting to watch. And so you watch them, and, maybe there's some players on the team that you root for. The San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama, certainly a team that I root for actively. There's, players across the league that I certainly root for. Guys like Herb Jones over in, New Orleans. Guys like Dyson Daniels now in Atlanta. And then, of course, there's the OKC Thunder, a team that I just believe is, maybe geekishly, I look at them as everything done right. No panicked moves, no Jakob Poeltl trades, no rushing the process. It's everything that's right. They do everything right. They do culture right. They do team chemistry right. They do development right. They hire the right coaches. They have the right investment, the right infrastructure. And what makes them so appealing to me, apart from the fact that they have this incredibly likable and very easy to root for franchise player in Shai Gilgeous Alexander, it's that they're a small market team and they've done it against all odds. And while the Toronto Raptors are not a small market team, they're certainly a team with considerable gaps to overcome, considerable weaknesses, considerable market disadvantages that cold weather, Canada, taxes, all that bullshit that everyone on TSN and Sportsnet likes to talk about. So I just think that the OKC Thunder are just this great model for what the Toronto Raptors should want to do. And in that vein, in that spirit, I do believe that the right move for the Raptors at some point will be to capitalize on other teams' desperation, other teams' hubris that they are closer than they really are. Teams like Charlotte, teams like Detroit, teams like see, the same thing you're seeing is the same thing everybody's seeing. So, sometimes like when you look at the East, and you're like, oh, the East is wide open, Rob. Yeah, it's wide open for you. It's wide open for Washington. It's wide open for Detroit. It's wide open for Charlotte. It's wide open for Chicago. You look at all these teams and you try to find the sucker, right? That's what you got to do. Sometimes you win trades when you find suckers. So you need to find the sucker, right? You need to find the Milwaukee that's willing to move off a 2031 first that you can possibly convert later. You need to find, your Phoenixes, your LAs. You need to find a team that believes that their window is shrinking and that you can solve one of their problems. You need to solve somebody's problem in order for them to solve one of yours. Your problem is you probably have a little too much talent to be overly bad this year, because trust me, that April schedule is the April schedule. And to those of you who need your daily reminder of what the Toronto Raptors schedule becomes after April, I mean, here's a fun fact. The Toronto Raptors schedule over the next few games, I mean, just look at this. It's so bad. It's a really bad schedule. Okay. You're going to face, after this game, you face Dallas on Saturday. That's 2 days from now. Then on Monday, you face New York in your building. Then you face Brooklyn. Then you face Houston. You are expected to win one of those games. The other three are supposed to be losses. Actually, I would argue you're supposed to lose all four. And, I don't know what Jakob Poeltl's injury was, because I wasn't, privy to like what happened with him. But if that's anything longer than one game, you are going to struggle to beat anybody. Okay. So worth noting that provided you go 1-3 in that stretch, you're right where we said you need to pull the plug, right? Bryce Wayne saying, Thunder fan here. Algorithm led me to your stream. Keep your head up. We were in the same situation as y'all not too long ago. Be patient and successful returns to Toronto. Bryce, I don't know if you want to rewind, like literally, I want to say 2-3 minutes ago when I was telling how much I love the OKC Thunder. Y'all have a great team. Welcome to our space. Certainly not a combative space. We are not competitive enough to be combative. We are just, we're going to play possum right now. Okay. So yeah. And again, like I have been calling the OKC Thunder my championship favorites all year. So just letting you know that. And yeah, I love the Thunder. I love the Thunder. I love Casey Wallace, and I love the Chet Holmgren. I just love the whole goddamn team. Love the coach. Love the executives. It's a really just a formidable team. And I'm very, very happy that the Toronto Raptors don't play in the same conference as the OKC Thunder, because it's tough. Okay, so speaking of the OKC Thunder and trying to follow that model, look, there is an opening right now in the standings for a lot of teams like Brooklyn, that may inevitably at some point decide, okay, we don't want to tank. We want to be good. The East is open, spots, 10 through Indiana, teams like this, Atlanta. These are all teams that are relatively bunched up together. Once you start to gap away from them, now you have the ability to help them accelerate over the other. You can be like that terrible friend, you know what I mean, who loans your like delinquent friend, like an extra $30 on a terrible credit line for like to buy something that they're not supposed to buy. Okay, I'm trying to make this parallel correct. So drunk on credit is what I'm addressing. So you could just be the burly bad friend, for the Brooklyn Nets. You can be like, oh yeah, you know what you guys really need. You need a Jakob Poeltl, and we give it to you. You guys have some picks. We have a really good player. this is the move that puts you ahead. I think the Toronto Raptors have to look at other teams the way other teams looked at the Toronto Raptors when they were struggling with Fred VanVleet, because the Raptors sold themselves on this idea that Jakob Poeltl was a solution. And now I'm not denying that Jakob Poeltl is good. Jakob Poeltl is very good. I think some people have kind of, pushed me into this corner where they think I don't think Jakob Poeltl is really good. There's a lot of good things. He's not necessarily going to be a part of your future, and he's not necessarily going to be here when you're actually competing for championships, at which point you do also have to figure that he has a player option in year 4. Yeah. If you thought the Raptors did give him a player option, Masai Ujiri gives everybody player options. So come next summer, he'll be an expiring contract, right? That's appealing to somebody, right? And if he opts out of that, which, I mean, at the moment of signing that deal, it felt like impossible to think that he would ever opt out of it. Now you've got a bit of a, I don't want to say conundrum, because conundrum feels a little bit dramatic, but you've got at least a bit of a situation which you've got to address for yourself, which is to say, would he opt out of that deal at the age of 30, 31 to secure one final deal? We've seen players do it, where they'll take a little bit of a discount in order to get the extra years, because it's more daunting to hit free agency when you're 31, 32 than it is when you're 30. So, or 31 versus 32. I mean, in either case, it's not uncommon for a player to opt out of a player option in that deal, right? So you look at guys like Jakob Poeltl, you look at guys like Bruce Brown, you look at guys like Kelly Olynyk, you look at a guy like potentially Chris Boucher, Davion Mitchell, and you're like, okay, these are the pieces that maybe, just maybe, are making us a little too good to be worse than we need to be, and are helping other teams get just a little bit better. And if you do decide, or not decide, but if you do end up giving this team a chance to show what they're worth, and a few games from now, right? Liban Guled, do you think the Raptors need a front office change from Masai? Hell no, I don't. I don't at all. Okay, so OKC, Dallas, New York, Brooklyn, Houston, New York, Memphis, Atlanta, Boston. That's your schedule up until the new year. Now, from there, it's not that much better, y'all. Brooklyn, Orlando, Milwaukee, New York, Cleveland. Tell me the easy win there. Unless you're beating you beat Brooklyn in your next, hold on, let me just put this into perspective. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. In your next 13 games, your likely wins are Brooklyn, and Atlanta. You need to do a hell of a lot better than 3-10 to catch up steam. So at some point, you're going to have to beat the Memphises, the New Yorks, the Bostons. And I think the Raptors are betting on the fact that they just can't. You know what I mean? And then you got Detroit. Who knows where Detroit's going to be on January 11th? Maybe they're competitive. Maybe they're healthy. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're healthy and they're not. I have no idea. Golden State, they're kind of going the other way. Then you got Boston, Milwaukee, Orlando, Atlanta, New Orleans. Oh my God, I don't know where New Orleans is going to be at that point, probably tanking out of their minds. But it's very possible you're at January 25th, which is right around, we're starting to approach the trade deadline, and you're like 18 to 19 games under 500. It's perfectly possible. So any of you, people saying like, Rob, you made a lot of draft content for a team that's like suddenly going to be in the play-in. I listened to a Sam Vecini podcast, and he's like, I think the Raptors are going to be firmly a play-in team. I was like, hold up. They could be. They certainly could be if they get super healthy, but that's only if they want to. If they want to drag out this Emmanuel Quickley thing, now they want to start dragging out this Jakob Poeltl thing a little bit, shut RJ down for a couple of weeks, you can ethically tank. One thing I do know, and I think that this is something that we have noted with the Raptors, late in the season, they will tank 100%. So what you need to hope for, if you are one of those Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper people, if you're one of those people that is like, oh, we need a top 10 pick, we need a top 8 pick. If you're one of those people, the date you need to look at is probably January 25th. If you don't beat Atlanta, at least one of Milwaukee, Golden State, Detroit, like you realize you pretty much have to go perfect from here. I'm not saying perfect as in like sweep. I'm saying any team that is like a 50-50, you have to be 100%. You get what I'm saying? Brooklyn's a 50-50 game right now. Detroit's a 50-50 game right now. Charlotte's a 50-50 game right now. All these games are 50-50 games. So the Miami, Indiana stretch that we just went through, that was 50-50, 50-50, 50-50. Even though some people would say those teams are better than you, fine. But I would say those are the winnable games. Even when you're not favored, those are winnable. You need to win all of those for the rest of the year to make the playoffs. Count them out. Count out the winnable games from here on out and tell me how do you make up the gap? The Toronto Raptors have hold on, let me just check the standings because I believe they will have changed after tonight. Give me one sec here. It seems like this is worth tracking right now. Okay, just give me one sec here. Okay, so pull that away. Share screen. Okay, so these are the standings in the Eastern Conference. As you can see, the Toronto Raptors are 12th. They have 7 wins. I clearly jumped the gun thinking they had 8 for some reason. Okay, so they have 7 wins. Okay, so do me a favor and let's just predict it out. Also, I'm going to apologize in advance if I'm lagging. It seems I've been on 1 bar internet-wise. I'm not lagging on my end, but it seems I've been on 1 bar. So let me know if my audio is clipping a little bit. Not sure what the hell I can do about it at this point, but okay, so 7 wins. Let's try to count and let's see how far we can get with ambitious wins. Okay, I'm just gonna say a win when I think that it is a winnable, or let's just say I'm gonna say above 40% chance to win is a win, and everything else is a loss. Let's just go there. Okay, so we got 7 wins. I'm gonna say that Brooklyn is 8, Atlanta's 9, Brooklyn's 10, Milwaukee's 11. Detroit is 12. Atlanta is 13, 14. Washington 15. Chicago 16. New Orleans 17. Philadelphia 18. Miami 19. So February 21st, you have 19 wins. Holy shit. Okay. 19. Then you have Chicago. That's 20. Utah 21, Washington 22, 23, Philadelphia 24, Utah 25, Portland 26. So that's a 5-game win streak. Oh my God. That's 26. And then San Antonio, Washington 27, 28, Brooklyn 29, Charlotte 30, Philadelphia 31, Chicago 32, Portland 33, Detroit 34, Brooklyn 35, Charlotte 36. Okay, so you get the drift. All your easy games right at the end. And the Raptors will inevitably, if they start bad enough, like when they start dropping some of those games, when I started saying like, oh, we get to 19. If by the time I think they're supposed to be 19, they're at 15, just pull the plug. And no one will be upset. You don't like, here's the thing. When you're and this is why I say this schedule was so freaking genius too. Okay, now I'm counting those wins out, and y'all can say I'm crazy that they're going to win every winnable game. Nobody wins every winnable game. Most likely, what happens is you're going to be a 60-40. You're going to 60% of the games that you're 40% favored to win, or something like that. Like you're never going to win all of them. Like you're going to drop one that you're not supposed to. You're going to win one that you weren't supposed to, and it usually just balances out that way. But when the margins of error are so thin that at this point, realistically, the best version of this team is a 35-win team, right? Which seems crazy at this point. What I'm saying is that at some point in this season, the math will dictate that 35 wins is almost impossible, even though it will still be technically possible, at which point it will be justifiable to start parting out pieces. It won't be frowned upon. See, now let's flip it. Let's say that the schedule was inverted, because certainly it could have been. Let's say you had the center. Also, it's worth noting that the Toronto Raptors did get their final 2 games of the season, which is the in-season tournament. I believe it's Miami and someone else that they're facing, December 12th and 16th. So those 2 games, I can't remember. Is it Atlanta and Miami, if I'm not mistaken? Anyways, I remember looking at them, and neither one of them was super easy, but they're both like winnable, losable games. Okay. So where we're at right now is if the schedule was inverted, and let's say you start out San Antonio, Dallas, Charlotte, Brooklyn, Detroit, Portland, Chicago, Philadelphia, Charlotte, Brooklyn. Let's say you do this entire schedule in reverse. So let's say your season starts on April 13th and it goes backwards to October 23rd. That's the conundrum, because by the time you get to Phoenix, you're like almost a 500 team potentially, because you beat up on all these really crappy teams. And at that point, it's too late. See, the early injuries that the Raptors had could be such a blessing in disguise, and this horrible schedule that they have is such a blessing in disguise, because it's so much easier to tank when you're already 19-40. Like, and by tank, I mean like parting out pieces, shutting down guys, etc. And at that point, maybe instead of beating Washington, Charlotte, San Antonio, Portland, you beat Washington, you get beat by Washington, you lose to Portland. You know what I mean? Like, you can balance it out a little bit. I think conservatively, I would put the Raptors as a 25-win team right now. I think 25-28 feels realistic, at which point they'll probably have like the 8th pick. That's where I'm at right now. 7th to 8th. I think it's worth noting that the Raptors had the 7th best odds when they moved up to 4 to get Scotty Barnes. And I think it's also worth noting that they had the 3rd best odds when they moved down to 4 to get Chris Bosh. So it's not always super easy to sort of rig the tank, if you will. But yeah. Okay. Brandon Kitty saying early injuries. Wink, wink. Yup. There's no shot we go 50-50 for the rest of the season. I agree with you. I think it's very hard. It's worth noting Liban Guled is true. The Pistons were the worst team 2 years in a row and finished with the 5th best draft pick. Bryce Wayne saying, do y'all like your coach? He actually used to coach with the OKC Thunder, Bryce. Darko comes from the OKC system, the Memphis system. I love him. I don't know how everybody else here feels about him, but I love him. Whew. Jordan T saying 28-29 games max. Sure. No one Treyarch. Look, man, I actually think that this draft is deeper than 7 for sure. I think Kaman Malawech is a very good young player, and I think that, you know, in a game like this, having a dude like that would have helped so tremendously. It wouldn't have swung the outcome. Please understand, none of these players are going to swing the outcome. You have Cooper Flag tonight, it wouldn't have swung the outcome of this game, you know. But it's brick by brick, and that's, I think, the beautiful thing about OKC. You learn that OKC did not do this overnight. Shai Gilgeous Alexander was not a ready-made franchise player. They took a top 3 MVP vote guy, which was Paul George at the time, traded him for a very promising young player in Shai Gilgeous Alexander, who was the 11th overall pick, a Kentucky guard, 11th overall pick, right? And he blossomed into this, but he didn't blossom overnight. If you had told people back in 2019 that Shai was going to be an MVP candidate perennially, a 30-point per game scorer, they would have looked at you like you were high. So Gregory saying, anytime we can invite Chilltown in as a guest caller at some point, I'll talk to him, you know, for sure. I love Chill. He's probably my favorite panelist. So yeah, I'll definitely talk to him about it for sure at some point. We're not in like constant communication or anything. Like, I think the only people I'm really super communicative with on PC are Ox, Swipe a little bit, Ron, you know, Mars and I don't really talk a lot off air. Chill and I definitely don't talk a lot off air, but you know, certainly I'll ask if you want to come on. What would you want the topic to be? You don't have to super chat again. Just let me know via email what you want the topic to be, or what you want us to cover, or whatever. Maybe you want us to discuss Scott Barnes, run out some plays, because Chill and I have some very different opinions on Scotty. You know, so maybe that would be an interesting show. But let me know what you'd want him to do. But thank you for your super chat. I very much appreciate that. No thanks. Swipe is cool though. Jordan versus LeBron. Nah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. 2021 redraft. I don't think so, man. Did y'all catch the PC episode today where we did the top 25 under 25? Let me know if y'all caught it. So I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you a little bit of it because I am a well-intentioned employee, and I do like, occasionally, what the hell is going on here? What? Okay, gotcha. Hang on one sec. I clipped up some very, very short clips of this. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this is a few clips from the PC debate today, and this was RJ Barrett.
Who you thinking?
RJ Barrett. I'm gonna put RJ Barrett.
All right.
I do not dislike that.
Mars.
I can agree with RJ.
I think I can as well.
So everyone seemed to agree on RJ Barrett, and nobody agreed with me when I brought up Scotty Barnes.
This one. Now let's get around to number 2. We got Victor number 1. Chill. Who is the second best player under 25?
Anthony Edwards.
Ben?
Scotty Barnes.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
No. I'm just making sure. All right, Mars.
I thought we said no trolling. Wait, I thought we said no trolling though.
I'm not trolling. I'm not trolling. I'm just a little bit slow. Don't worry. Yo, W me for calling myself slow. That's hilarious. Okay. And then there was this where we did eventually get Scotty Barnes on the list. And that was pretty cool.
So LaMelo it is.
All right.
Yep,
Chill got LaMelo. Penn.
Yep, I'll take LaMelo.
I got Scotty Barnes.
Okay, we're getting into Scotty Barnes territory.
I also have Scotty Barnes.
Okay.
So 2-2.
Wait,
well, we know what Ron's
going. Mars said he got Scotty Barnes too.
Yeah, Penn's picking Scotty, so 3-2.
So LaMelo it is.
All right.
Yep,
Chill got LaMelo. Penn.
Yep, I'll take LaMelo.
Okay. So that's just going to loop now. So yes, it was a pretty cool episode on the panel today. We discussed a lot of good young players, and naturally, I feel like the Toronto Raptors have 3 or 4 of the at least 35 best young players in the league, which includes Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, and Grady Dick. I think that this nucleus is all under 25, and I think maybe by generous estimates, they're at least all in the top 40 players under 25. And then you get guys like Jonathan Mobo who could blossom into that. You get the first round pick this year, which could blossom into that, and you start to see a bright future. But I think I agree generally with what Masai Ujiri had to say, which is you need to find those pieces, right? You need to find those pieces. You need to find all those pieces, and then you need to put them in place, and then you need to grow. You need to learn how to win. LeBron's saying RJ Barrett like 40 then. I don't think RJ's 40, bro. Like, if we're talking straight potential, maybe, he goes a little bit lower. But if we're talking straight production right now, I think RJ Barrett's like a top 20 player under 25 right now. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely out of my mind putting Scotty Barnes number 2 after performances like this. But I do believe that that's where he'll be very soon. I do believe he'll get there for sure. Anyways, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you, Gregory, for these very, very nice super chats. I appreciate you as always, and appreciate all of you guys for checking us out. Can you let me know if I'm lagging at all? Like, is my audio choppy? Is my video choppy? Because I'm looking at this one bar for like the last 10 minutes, and I'm just getting a little bit paranoid because I never know when it's bad. Because Clutch Tatum saying yes. So yes, it has been choppy. Simp Exterminator, no. There was a little bit of choppiness. Blurry. It was earlier. Shit. Okay. Well, thankfully, hopefully, this problem goes away after today. I got my new camera, so that's good. I'm going to set up the new computer. Everything is going to be, tomorrow we're going to do it. Hopefully we do our first live on that. It's going to be a lot better. So not choppy, more like phasey. But did the audio clip out at all? Like, I don't care about the visuals, like whatever, you're staring at my face. I'm not doing anything with my face, but okay, good. That's good. Okay. I'm going to share something with y'all as a fourth quarter gang and my parting note. Jurgo saying audio got muffled. Crap. It happened today on the panel too. Sucks, man. I don't even think it's the internet. I don't know what the hell it is, but like it might be the laptop. It might be whatever. Anyways. Okay. Do I put this over my face as I talk? Okay, maybe I do this. Okay. Maybe this makes it a little bit easier. Maybe I need to stop streaming in 1080p and just go back to 720 or something. I don't know. Okay. So I was doing a little bit of reflection a couple of days ago and yesterday. I've been a little bit sort of emotionally exhausted from doing content a little bit, reading a lot of comments, some negative, some positive. Just it was just an interesting introspection yesterday. Ooh. Daria, have we talked about the WNBA Toronto team name? No, we haven't. But we will right after this. We will. We will. We definitely will. Okay. So very briefly, had a little bit of time to just sort of be to myself a little bit. Took a lot of feedback from the comments. Some of y'all saying like, it's not your takes that are a problem. It's how you say them sometimes. It's not necessarily what you're saying. It's how you're saying it. It's not funny enough. It's not charismatic enough. You lack the charm to be able to get away with some of the things that other people do. So that's the thing about like likability. Like I don't necessarily think I've ever been overly likable, but I think it's partially because I didn't want to be. And now I'm thinking, why? Why would I not want to be likable? What is it in my head that is stopping me from wanting to be likable? And then I realized it was because a lot of people that when I grew up, a lot of people that were likable were fake. You would see these people, they put on this nice layer of charm, they butter everybody up and they'd be like very friendly and they'd be doing favors for people. And the minute those people would leave, they'd be like, fuck those people, So I decided very early that people who are likable are usually fake. And so, we talk about the neuroscience of connecting ideas, as young people. So I guess I'm not a teacher, but I'm gonna give you a task to do. What two ideas are connected in your mind that you wish weren't? Marriage scary. Why? Because your parents got divorced. Okay, cool. Having kids scary. Why? You know what I mean? Because your parents and your relationship wasn't very good. There are things that sometimes we connect that maybe we didn't want to connect. We certainly aren't benefiting from the connection, but they're connected nonetheless, right? 9 to 5. You play word association with 9 to 5. You'll find people have all sorts of ideas, baked in assumptions about 9 to 5. Are all 9 to 5s the same? No. Are they all bad? No. We have connections. We have like little webs in our minds of words. For me, likability equals fake, which is not true at all. It's not true. I think it's true deep down because 8-year-old Rob thought that was true. It's not true. Actually, being likable doesn't mean you're necessarily fake. You can certainly be genuine and be very likable. And so now I need to work on tone because my tone is terrible. And I need to work on delivery because I think the delivery is not good enough. And I think that it's also worth saying that, sometimes when you're talking to yourself, that it's important to keep that in mind. And, you get a lot of feedback from people saying like, oh, you're a hater, you're this, you're that, whatever, this, that, and the third. And you start to really buy into like, well, maybe I am. But then you'd realize that you ran a dog walking company and you had like the best client satisfaction in the entire city. And you realize that you run a film festival and people love you. And you realize you have this beautiful community that is up with you at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and they're rocking with you. So you can't be that unlikable. But you don't only want to listen to your fans. You do want to sometimes listen to your critics. And, a lot of people, they get mad at me. They'll be like, Rob, why are you paying attention to the comments? Why are you reading the comments? What's your obsession with the comments? And I'm like, I want feedback. My girlfriend was telling me yesterday, she's like, why are you reading the comments? You just need to, she's like, when you grow more, you won't want to read these comments. And I'm like, I'll always read the comments and I'll always try to respond to the ones that warrant a response, largely because I'm not arrogant enough to think I know everything that I need to know about myself. Sometimes people give you very valuable feedback. Even today, when we were doing a PC meeting, we were talking about like how the chat can get really toxic. And there was a mention of like, just turn the chat off. Like, don't look at the chat. I'm like, the chat is helpful. Sometimes it derails you. Sometimes the chat here derails me from my thought, from perspective. There's trolls, people come in and all this time. But you just got to get through it, face the hard thing and get through it. So I wanted to say that. Okay. So to anybody out there, who maybe has connected things inadvertently at a previous point in your life when you weren't ready to really make those connections consciously, try to ask yourself today one question and then 3 questions that follow. And these are the 3 questions that I gave to my girlfriend. And I think that I think these are very, very good questions to ask. Number 1. Okay. So the first thing is, what 2 ideas are connected in your head that you're aware of? Because again, that'll require some digging. What 2 ideas are connected in your head that are connected, maybe that you wish weren't connected, and how can you disconnect them? Right? That's one thing. The second question I would ask you to ask yourself as the fourth quarter gang is, when I die, the thing I want to be most remembered for is X, fill in the blank. Maybe it was started a charity, you were great to kids, you were great to your kids, you wrote a book, I don't know. And then whenever you find the answer to that, don't wait. Do that thing right now. Start doing it every day. The third question I would ask you to ask yourself is, if you had a magic wish that could immediately solve one problem in your life, you can't add anything, but you can immediately take one thing away, what would that one thing be? And what would it take you without a wish to accomplish it? An example would be, you have a mortgage that's just a weight on your back. You have crushing credit card debt. You have, I don't know, you're carrying 35 extra pounds. You want to lose it. You have you have a stutter. You have a bad habit of saying all the time. You're like, man, this is really holding me back socially. Maybe you have a terrible wardrobe and you would just love to replace your wardrobe. Identify it. It's important to understand the key things that we really, really want. And don't think too hard about it. Don't overthink yourself to death about it. Just kind of answer the first thing that comes to your mind. If you had a wish right now, what's one thing you would take away immediately? What's one thing you would take away? Okay. The final thing and the final question that I would ask you to ask yourself. Hold on. How many questions did we get to? Did we get to 4? I think we got to 3, didn't we? Okay, so what's the wish you would have? Yes. Yes. Okay. Imagine your life 10 years from now. Like, what is the one thing that your ideal life has 10 years from now that your current life does not have? So maybe your vision is you're retired, you're sailing around in a boat, so you have a lot of free time, right? In your vision, you have free time. That's the one thing that you're kind of missing today. You have a lot of money and you have a lot of free time. What can you do to take the vision you have of yourself 10 years from now, this hypothetical, idealized version of yourself 10 years from now? What can you do to bring that vision half the time? Forget 10 years. Cut it in half to 5. What can you do? Can you work harder? Can you invest more? Can you learn more? Can you get a promotion? What can you do to basically 2x the timeline to get to this hypothetical vision of yourself? And what can you do today, in and of itself, today, that can get you into the feeling that you're feeling in that version of yourself? So, like, what are you feeling when you're out with your wife, retired early, sailing around the world? You feel free. Can you do something today that gives you the feeling of being free? I'm going to tell you one thing that really brought about a lot of these questions. I realized a long time ago that sometimes we know things and then we don't really know them. Like we learn them, we read them in a book, we write them down, but then we don't really know them because it's not ingrained in our brains. I'll tell you something that is a fundamental truth. I used to get really mad. Even a couple of days ago, I was getting a little bit pissed. How come I'm right by so many metrics on the Toronto Raptors, and I feel like a lot of people still don't give me that level of respect? Why is it that I can be right about Pascal and Fred and all these guys, and then when inevitably it goes exactly as I thought it would, I don't feel like I'm getting a lot of credit for being right about things. I get a lot of you're a hater, you're a hater, you're a hater when I'm early on, but I don't feel like I get a lot of that respect. And I'm not whining about it. I'm just exploring it. I'm thinking about it. Like, why is that being early on Gary Trent when everybody was saying he was a great defender? Why is it that telling people why he wasn't a great defender and then having that take be publicly accepted, why is that not credit worthy? Why is it that I can call the Raptors selfish in 2021, Masai Ujiri can call them selfish in 2023, and people are not like, damn, this guy's friggin' predicting the future up here? And I realized it was because how you make people feel will never be, what you say will never be more important than how you made people feel. Because the truth is right now, when people root for Davion, they feel hope. They feel pride. When you tear him down and when you say he's not an NBA player and he's not a good player, they feel disappointment and they feel resentment and they feel anger. And you're the person on the screen as these emotions are coming up. So that anger will be directed towards you. And you're not going to be the person that told them the truth 3 months, 4 months, 8 months, 10 months before they were willing to hear the truth about Malachi Flynn or the truth about Paolo or the truth about Scotty or whatever. When the truth is that people want to feel good and they don't like people who make them feel bad. And so it's not ever going to matter what you say, how you make people feel. You know, the vast majority of people in this world are struggling to stay above water. Struggling. The vast majority of North Americans are a couple paychecks away from being absolutely financially destitute. The vast majority, that's over 50%. That's your population. And when you're talking about sports, it's more of that population, not less. It's more into that 50%. So these people certainly don't want to hear why their lottery pick is going to be a failure when they're just getting amped up and hyped up about the lottery pick. Like, people want answers and only when they're down, right? Like when people are up, when people are excited after a win, if you really want to piss people off, tell them it wasn't a real win. Tell them the other team played like shit. Remind them how many injuries the other team had. They will hate you forever. If you want followers, after a tough loss, give them a why. Why the tough loss? Why what happened? And then try to pepper in some hope. This is the truth. Nobody wants to hear that their kid is an idiot. Nobody wants to hear that. Not one person. The teacher who tries to say your child has terrible work habits is going to be a very deeply unpopular teacher with the wrong parent. Now, me personally, I'm very different. I want to hear the truth. I want to hear my kid's a dumbass. I really do. So that I can help him or her, advance. I want to hear that, my kid has bad work ethic. I want to hear that my team's lottery pick is going to be a bust. I want to know before it happens because I'm a doomsday prognosticator and I want to be prepared for every outcome. But, I'm not looking for hope. I'm not looking for hope. I don't wake up every day and I'm like, oh man, what can I be hopeful about today? That's probably why I don't gamble and why I don't play scratchy lotteries. I'm not a hope. I'm eternally hopeful. I'm a very positive and very, very optimistic person, but I'm not scratching at the walls for pebbles of hope. So I hope that this coverage does not in any way hurt your appreciation for the Toronto Raptors. I am very, very bullish on this team long term. I'm very, very happy with what this team has done. and what they have accomplished over the last 8 to 10 months. It's been very encouraging. 12 months, really. December to December. December 29th, the OG Anunoby trade, December 30th to now. We're approaching 1 year of just great moves. The Davion Mitchell trade. Say what you want about Davion Mitchell's three-point shooting percentage. Great trade. All these trades have been great. The draft picks have been solid. I believe in Jacoby. I believe in Mobo. I believe in all these kids long term. Couldn't help but notice Ulrich, standing there, towering over his teammates, bro. There's no chance in hell this kid is 6'10". He looked like the tallest player on the team by wide margin. Okay, so he's already probably touching in on like 7 feet, wearing his green jacket. Would have been nice to see him play today, but we're not there yet right now with him. Give this some time. The OKC Thunder were once this, this team. They were once that upstart, optimistic, wait for the future, they're going to run the league. They were once that team. Darko was a part of that team. Chip England, I think. Chip England. What was his name? The shooting coach. He was a part of that team. You get all these great development stats. You get like all these draft picks, and you just hit them. You hit them. And it's not all about draft picks. It's about those undrafted guys. It's those wins in the margins. Guys like Isaiah Joe, right? Guys like Isaiah Hartenstein. Guys like Alex Caruso, converting assets that didn't work out. The Josh Giddeys of the world for an Alex Caruso, a guy who can participate, a guy who doesn't kill your spacing, right? You give it a chance. Last year, they give it a chance. Now, last I checked, the OKC Thunder have 0 championships, right? They have 0 championships, but they have nothing but a stable of assets ahead. The Raptors need to take a page out of that book, and they need to start converting some of these win now moves. Sorry, they need to convert some of these players for actual tangible assets, not necessarily to use, but to have this flexibility going forward. Would love to see that. The Raptors have a stable roster, young players. This is not the time to cut it short, okay? I said earlier in the offseason that I would have traded potentially the Indiana pick and Bruce Brown to get Cam Johnson. Would that have helped? Probably. I mean, yeah, it would have helped you make the playoffs this year, but maybe that's not what you need right now. Maybe what you need right now is just one more go around at it. One more summer with Darko. One more summer with Jama. I tell you, within 12 months, mark my words, God is my witness, you will be very, very pleased with the Raptors on-court process. 12 months is not that long a time. At this time next year, Justin Trudeau will no longer be Prime Minister of Canada. I'll put money on that one. And the Toronto Raptors will no longer be getting smoked by 35 points to the OKC Thunder. I'll bet on that one too. All right. I'll catch you all later. Jordan T saying Rob isn't afraid to go against the grain. I've seen him do it. Seen him on this channel do it countless times. Yeah. Sometimes I think I'm obsessed with the controversy. All right. I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, 1:15 in the morning, for staying up with me. And I'm gonna toss this. Laptop, which has been struggling with the Wi-Fi, in the cabinet, and I'm gonna set up my new computer, and hopefully we will have no more lag and no more issues going forward, and we'll have a stable connection and a better connection. And yeah, I can only hope for better onward and upward from here on out. And you know what? I said, Canada would be in a better place 12 months from now. The Raptors will be in a better place 12 months from now. I'll guarantee you Pensare Basketball is going to be in a better place 12 months from now too. All right. Also, to those of you who've been messaging and asking, Penn Dance passes go on sale in a week and a half. Okay. So expect to see some stuff about Penn Dance popping up occasionally. I'm trying not to be annoying about it, running promo ads all the time, but expect to hear some 1-minute plugs about what's coming to Penn Dance. I believe there's going to be a really cool basketball film at Penn Dance this year. That could be very cool as well. So I'll look forward to catching y'all there. Penn Dance was a great opportunity last year to meet a lot of you. And thank you for supporting independent art. I love this community partially because I think that this community, unlike a lot of sports communities, is actually insanely evolved in terms of your cultural appetites. I think you're all very eclectic. And so I think that it's amazing that this film festival, which is a very, very well thought out and very good film festival, intersects so well with the interests that are already being talked about on a daily basis on this channel. So I'll catch y'all later. Thank you, Greg, again for the super chats. And quick, Dario, I did not forget how we talked to WNBA Toronto team name. I like the name Tempo. I hate the logo. It is a amalgamation of New Balance logo plus the Indiana Pacers logo, and I absolutely can't stand it. I think it's very unoriginal. It's very busy. I don't like it. Now, the Tempo, like people seem to be very against the name Tempo. I'm not one of those people. I actually like the name. I think it's perfectly fine. I think it'll catch on, you know, Toronto Tempo. Like it kind of has like that sort of flow to it. Toronto Tempo, like, you know, like the Indiana Fever, Los Angeles Sparks, the Toronto Tempo. Like it flows. It makes some sense, you know. And I'll say this: a lot of people hated the name the Raptors when the Raptors chose the Raptors, a lot, and it's turned out to be a pretty great name. In fact, I would say the Raptors is one of the best names in the league. Personally, I think Raptors is one of the best names in the league. All right, talk to you guys later. Have a good one, and please hit like and subscribe.